All right, 2 months in a row of consistent uploads to the YouTube channel. It's like it's a huge record for us. Um, yeah, we did an upload at the beginning of February, sort of an update on what was going on with the project, and now it's mid-March, and we decided to push it to the middle of the month because we did the Dirtbirds Discord hangout at the beginning of March, and that's kind of the cadence we're trying to get into. We want to upload a monthly sort of update video to YouTube once a month, and it will probably be around the middle of the month so that we can do monthly hangouts in Discord at the beginning of the month or maybe at the end of the month. So yeah, if you didn't make it to the March hangout a couple weeks ago, it was a ton of fun. I invite you to come to the April hangout. I'll try to put a link in the description for the Discord event itself for April, although maybe not because we don't have it scheduled yet. So never mind. I just lied. We're not going to do that. But keep an eye on Discord and we'll have the event scheduled. We'll put a tweet out pretty soon to announce the exact date and time as well. But anyways, yeah, this is 2 months in a row. And if you notice the production quality, we've stepped it up massively. Check out our new logo that we just tweeted about this morning. And I'm even going to be sharing my screen today, guys. So like we're talking like peak like 2010 stream quality, like production quality here. So yeah, I'm pretty proud. I just panicked because I thought maybe my mic was muted, but it's not. So okay, so let's get into the update. I'm gonna hit a few topics today. It'll probably be another long one, but I will segment out the video so you can jump to the parts that you're interested in, and I'll go ahead and give you the agenda right here up front. I'm planning to talk a little bit about profiles and trait scores, just give you sort of a few more of like my own additional thoughts on the feature that we launched earlier this week, and then some other ideas that we might have with it, just sort of my general thoughts on it. I'm going to talk about season 3, basically the big ticket items, and give you guys sort of a brief update on where we're at with those big ticket items. That's mostly going to be V2 Pred, right? The Pred update, the metadata update, the artwork update. And then also we'll talk about Adventures in Derpetonia, right? The game that we're working on right now. So I won't go into crazy detail, but I will say, just to sort of dangle the carrot a little bit, if you want like more of that alpha, like you're looking for like more of those details, you should definitely come to the hangout because on Discord every month, because I tend to have a bit to drink during those hangouts. You guys can ask questions, and then I'm more likely to give away details that I'm probably not going to do here on YouTube. So yeah, I'll do that brief update on season 3. It won't be brief. I don't know why I just said that's going to be pretty long. And then I'm going to talk a bit about just the overall market, as I like to do. I think it's important for you guys to understand like sort of how Geek and I view the conditions in the market and how that affects our short-term to medium to long-term plans. So I'll talk a little bit about that. And then just really quick, it's somewhere in here, I'll probably talk about minting. Not anything in large detail. Nothing is really updated from February, where I talked about why it's important for us to mint and to use our minting technology. But I just give you guys sort of a brief update on where we're at, like what our current sort of dance card in terms of how we're utilizing our mint looks like, our mint tech looks like. So with that being said, let's get into the first topic, which is again going to be just a quick recap on what we just launched this week, which is the updated profiles and the trait score, the whole trait score system, which is my favorite part of the new profile update, to be honest. But yeah, earlier this week, we finally pushed profiles out. The backstory there is like we had profiles on the old Dirtbirds website. Some of you guys will have been around long enough to remember that. And then when we moved to the new app, that sort of got deprioritized. It's funny, I was like checking our sort of the system that we use to manage what we're working on at any given time. And I created the task for profiles back in August of last year. So yeah, it took us a little while to get sort of circled back around to it. But we just launched profiles, and I'm going to share my screen here. And in case you missed it, this is sort of what the updated profiles look like. So you can see, of course, your name, and you got some tabs across here. You got some like high level metrics where you can sort of view those top level stats. And then what was really fun is, and this is one of the things I'm most proud about for Dirtbirds, is that we have this story roadmap. Like, it will become more of the focus as the project as the project matures. Like, story becomes more and more important to the project, and sort of leaning into this like story-driven roadmap that we've had becomes like more and more of a focus on the project. But I'm really stoked with this like roadmap stats section here because it demonstrates that, right? Like we haven't just been a project where you minted, bought some JPEGs and then stake them and earn a token. Like we've tried to do everything. And again, if you're watching this video, because you've probably been around, but we've done everything in this really sort of story-driven manner. And I'm one of the reasons why I'm really excited for season 3 and Adventures in Derpetonia is it right now we have this quested, like I did the design for this like in October or something last year. But you'll see that, just saying quested is just really cheapens like how deep the game system will be. Anyways, the point that I'm trying to make is that the reason why I'm stoked for this sort of roadmap stats section of the profile is it really shows like how much you've participated. And you see in some places I've done a lot. I've rebirthed a lot of derps. I did not do as many invasions as I would like. My derplings hatched and my incubator stats honestly just suck. Like these some pretty low numbers here. But yeah, so and then over here we got some other fun stats. Well, we have many more that should be on there that we just haven't got added in yet. And then if you scroll to the bottom, we have sort of a traits overview. So we'll talk more about traits overview in a second, but the idea is that just by viewing someone's profile, you can sort of get an idea of what kind of maxi are they. A derp maxi? Do they love derplings more? Are they a drape maxi? Do they have like a nice distributed sort of collection? But we're excited to be doing a lot more profiles coming up as well. Like this is sort of the relaunch of them, but as we get again more into Adventures of Derpetonia, we'll be doing a lot more with the profiles. I want to say that we're still on track to launch leaderboards this week, and with leaderboards, because as of today, you can only view your own profile. You can't go view someone else's profile yet. But when leaderboards launch, that'll bring public profiles back online, so you'll be able to jump around and view other people's profiles. But what I'm really excited to talk about for profiles is as cool as the overview is I'm super stoked on the traits. Okay, I was about to say please don't have an issue where nothing loads. And so from the traits tab, you can see again sort of that same overview that we had on the profile screen. We also have this really cool new way of viewing this. And if a project has done this before, I've never seen it. I think it's such a fun way of viewing traits. Like it's just a lot of fun to be able to view traits in this way. And so what this screen does is it gives you the overview showing that I have 100 of 125 of the traits of the rebirth derp traits. I have 89 of 161. And so on. So you can see how many of the total traits you've collected. The ones that are sort of lit up here are the ones you have, and if it's sort of grayed out, it's a trait you don't have. You can see some basic metadata around the trait. You'll notice some other things here that aren't being utilized yet, like XP per epoch and the power score. Those will come online with the staking and XP change updates that are coming. I hope this month. That's more of a geek decision. But yeah, you'll see some additional details there as well. So again, you guys may have heard me talk about this earlier this year, or maybe even late last year, where I talked about like the importance of like collector psychology and how if you're going to try to create like a digital collectibles project, right, and stop thinking of things as just NFTs on a blockchain and think of them more broadly as collectibles, then providing a way for someone to see what they have and equally important what they don't have is an important part of that. And so that's one reason why we're really excited for this. It's again, it's a lot of fun to just explore the traits in this way as well. But I gotta say, like, even I've shared this before, generally by the time we launch a feature, I'm because I've been looking at the designs and I've been testing it and I've known about the idea for a really long time. It's not as exciting for me by the time we get to, it's not as exciting for me to use it because I've been using it for many months, generally by the time we launch something. But I will say that I've already brought up my derpling score quite a bit by having this. I went and found a derpling day before yesterday, I think, that gave me 4 new traits in one derpling. And so that's a ton of fun. To me, like that introduces like this new fun aspect to collecting, where I can go try to find, maybe a Derpling with the perfect Dave eggshell that has, the deity plush. I can't believe I don't have a deity plushie. It's basically my favorite Derpling trait. Never mind, I lied. This is the milk makers are my favorite Derpling trait. But going and finding a single Derpling that has, or any one of the character NFTs that has multiple of the traits that you don't have, is a lot of fun. And seeing that increase your score, and then we're about to launch the trait score leaderboards, so you can sort of compete and and pass up your fellow citizens of Derpetonia. Like, to me, again, it's just about trying to add that additional layer of fun, and really everything that we do, right? We want to put like a fun sort of twist on it. And so collecting is already fun, but how can we take it further? And I think that the trait scores and sort of this way of viewing your collection is a fun new sort of facet or perspective to have on your collection. So some other things that we're thinking about doing with this, and a couple people have actually reached out to recommend this, is showing, I talked about that Derpling that I bought that gave me, multiple points, 4 points, four new traits for my Derpling score. What would be cool is showing someone like what is the of all the listed assets for sale, of all the listed Derplings, Derpbirds, and so on that are for sale, this one is the one that will give you the biggest bang for your buck, right? You're going to get the most points for this for the lowest amount of ADA to have to spend. So we've had that idea, we've had that thought as well. We're not moving towards it right away, and I know some people are gonna sort of boo me for talking about the marketplace, but we want to do that once we get our own marketplace integrated into our ecosystem. It'll make a lot more sense to do it then. So yeah, we have a lot more plans for this. And I will say as well that as we get further into season 3, once you guys start crafting new traits, this becomes, I think, it provides like an additional level of utility at that point as well. So we have some things to think about, like, do we want to reveal all those traits, beforehand, or, how we do that. But anyways, that's sort of an update on profiles and traits. Again, if this screen, my screen size is just set to the size where I can't see another column here. But yeah, the collection screen, nothing crazy going on here. You can view your derps. You can also click on them to sort of see the asset, sort of the details. You can see the OG version, the legacy version for this Derpert, as well as the lineage. But anyways, you can view all the asset details for your characters here. And yeah, and again, remember, once these are public profiles, that anyone will be able to navigate to your profile and sort of view, what you have. We are thinking about sort of a privacy setting. So if you don't want people to be able to view your profile, you can set yours to private. They'll still see you on the leaderboard, most likely, but then your profile, just wouldn't be visible. And then lastly, of course, the achievements tab. This isn't necessarily new to anything. We've had the achievements pages up for a while, but you can come in here and view the achievements page. And one thing that we're working on, and again, what makes this a new layer of fun, is once we have public profiles online, hopefully this week, you'll be able to go and view other people's achievements, and we're hoping to get out the live comparison as well, where you can see, like, I'm Dave, and if I'm viewing Malal's profile, for example, I would see that he has more achievements than me. And so we're trying to get that added in as well. Anyways, that's just a quick look back on something we launched this week, and some additional details on what else we're trying to do with it coming up. So with that out of the way, the second, I'm just trying to learn how to use this in real time. The second thing I want to talk about is, and it's probably more exciting for you guys, is where we're at with season 3. So I'm not going to talk about everything with season 3. There are some things that we've been working on for a long time, and they get, they have to sort of be like de-escalated. Like we have to downgrade them and say, what, we need to put these back on the back burner again, because we want to focus on those big ticket items, or we run into new technical issues. Twitter raids is a good example of this. Elon now owns Twitter. They've made a lot of changes to how we can interact with Twitter using the APIs. And so it just so happens that all this is happening at the same time that we've been trying to launch Twitter integration into our ecosystem. And so now we're having to like scramble and come up with new ways to make that work. So it seems like it always gets deprioritized because either technical issues or we end up like wanting to put more of our time and attention on other features. So, but the two features I want to talk about from season 3 that were heavy in the works on are those really big ticket items. And the first one is Pred V2 and the other is Adventures in Derpetonia. So let's tackle Pred V2 first. I know I've been getting more questions about, like, is it close? And I don't want to give a definitive answer on that because I don't want to let anyone down or lead anyone on or set, false expectations. But it's just an artwork thing, right? Golden is sort of tag teaming he's really leading the initiative, and Cosmo is sort of consulting and sort of I don't want to say steering him in the right direction, but they're staying in sync to make sure that everything is cohesive between Cosmo's art style and Golden's art style for Pred. I will say, and I said this in the hangout at the beginning of the month, the Pred artwork is insane. Again, of course you're gonna. I mean, like, of course I'm gonna say that, right? Like, of course I'm gonna say that, but I mean, I guess that's all I have to say about it. Like, the artwork is just so incredible. But what Golden has been able to do, the way that he's been able to keep sort of the overall, I don't want to give too much away. He's been able to stay true to the roots while also doing something that feels completely new and original. And it's really just, again, sort of a testament to what a great artist he is. But in terms of ETA, I don't have a definitive date yet. I will say that it's the next major item that we're looking to launch. Like, we do have some of these smaller features like leaderboards, but Pred V2 will be the next major thing that we launch. We talked about this in the Discord hangout as well. We will be making an event out of it. So I guess let me take a step back. If you don't know what Pred V2 is, the Pred collection is on an open policy, which means we can update the metadata, the artwork, and everything without you needing to do anything. And so the original plan was just you'd wake up one morning and all of the Pred artwork would be updated and you wouldn't have to do anything. And the second half of that's still true. You won't have to do anything. But what sucked about that original plan is we don't get to like come together and celebrate and like have fun and make an event out of it. So what we decided to do for the Pred V2 release is to stand up a page in the app where you can go and see. Basically, what we'll be doing is updating one Pred every 2 minutes. So you'll be able to go on this page and see the countdown until the next Pred upgrade sort of happens, and you'll be able to see the last one that upgraded, the old version versus the new version, and see the updated metadata. And the really cool fun thing about that is we can all jump on Discord, we can get on a call, we can like watch them as they're coming in live, and it gives us something to like do for several days where a new one will get upgraded and we'll get to run into Discord and share it. And it's also really fun, I think, because if you're holding Preds, like I think we'll do them in serial order, or we might do it just full random just to make it even more exciting. You have no idea when your Preds are going to be upgraded. But yeah, we think it makes it a lot more fun because we can all come together and sort of have fun with it as an event, and you have no idea, you might get yours might be like the 5th Pred that gets upgraded, but then it might be like your next one might be like the 600th or something, and so you have to wait a long time. And I think that's fun. Some of us, I had zero control over updating or upgrading my Derpbirds to Rebirth. And so with this, I have no control over it. I just have to be patient and wait. So I'm super stoked for it. Anyways, yeah, the one other thing I want to mention, again, that we talked about in the Hangout. So come, if you want the alpha as early as possible, come to the Derpbird Discord Hangouts. Is we're updating the metadata pretty heavily for the Preds. It's not just the artwork. And the plan is to push them, and it's complicated. I don't want to try to get into all the details in the YouTube video, but we will be putting something that you can read and look at, infographics, something that explains how all of this works, probably a couple weeks before Pred V2 happens. But what we're doing is we're pushing the Preds into the archetypal system that we use for the Derpbird. So as you know, the Derpbirds are all of the traits of the Derpers come from one of the 14 archetypes, 15 if you count the ghost, but its archetypes, its attributes don't mix with the other 14. And so we'll be pushing the pred into the same system where all of the traits match an archetype. And it's not perfectly clean. It's going to take some finessing, like everything that we do. But it means that there will be some consolidation of some traits. So for example, I think today there's 37 bodies for preds, or 34 or something like that. And we're going to consolidate down to 14 bodies. And so that means that there will be some traits that go away, and your trait will be mapped to, let's say you have one of those bodies that's going away. I guess going away is not the right term. It's just being consolidated down to a different body. So let's say you have the 33rd body, we'll just call it that. It might get consolidated down. It might map to the 6th archetype body, for example. And there will be a few of those bodies that get consolidated down to that 6th body, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm explaining that well. But what we will do to make sure that there's not an overabundance of one body type is, for the bodies that are going to represent, multiple old pred bodies. And in other words, if this new pred body is going to be the body that multiple other bodies have been consolidated down to, what we're planning to do is to do variants on that body. So let's just use the bounty hunter body. For example, let's say the bounty hunter is one of the new archetypes. That bounty hunter body might have 3 or 4 variants, so that it's still the bounty hunter body, but it has a different styling on it, so that there's not just a ton of the same looking bodies floating around out there. So that's the goal. Now, the reason why we're pushing the pred into the archetype system is that it allows us to handle them and dirt birds the same way, right? Because all the dirt birds are in an archetype system, all the preds are in an archetype, and allows us to sort of balance things that way and do things a little more consistently across all the things that we build. But also, to be honest, I just think it's more fun. I love the idea of like there being these, basically these core characters that define everything else. To me, it's more fun. But yeah, this will allow things to be more manageable as we build new features sort of going on. So that's the update on Pred V2. I hope that by next month's update, we are very close to Pred V2. No promises, but I hope that by next month, I'll be able to give you guys like way more details, and hopefully we'll be like counting down the days by next month's update. All right, so the other big ticket item for season 3 I want to talk about is Adventures in Derpetonia, and I'll just tell you guys, it's so much more than what it started off as. It started off as a basic questing system, right? Like I want to say like similar to like what Tavern Squad has, different, right? Theirs is raids and sort of tiers of raids that you go down, and so there's sort of like this linear progression that you can sort of look at. Ours was always going to be a little more dynamic and more based on like unique quests with like different types of objectives. But it was more aligned with what Tavern Squad's doing before. That was sort of the original idea. And then, as I said in last month's video, and then as we talked about in the Discord hangout, because Tavern Squad, they have something that's awesome, right? They were the basically first to market, and it's not a competition, but they were first to market with their raid system. And so, we basically had to say, well, we don't want to just like copy exactly what they're doing. And because so many of you guys in the Dirt Birds community are also a part of the Tavern Squad community, and we wanted to give it an experience that's different. And so it started off really basic. It's just sort of a basic questing system, and it's really grown to be a lot more. And I'm really proud of where it's at, and it's all manageable for us. Like we've been able to like basically handle and sort of come up with solutions for all the major challenges, but it's just so much more beefy than what we were originally planning on it being. And I think that's for the better, right? The market's really slow right now. We'll talk more about markets here in a little bit, but like, this is the time for us to like really go hard on this. And we want to, so many innuendos there, but like we want to give you guys something that like, let's say these market conditions drag on for 12 or 16 months. Like we want to make sure that we've built something that is fun and entertaining for us, for the core community, right? Like something that we actually enjoy playing for a really long period of time. And equally important is that the thing that we build is a strong foundation that we can keep adding things to. So new quest types, new, more difficult quests, new traits. You know, like a part of Adventures in Derpetonia, if you don't know, is I think I've mentioned this. There's 3 different types of quests. There are scavenge quests, where you are going out to loot crafting materials. There are research quests, where you are learning blueprints. And the blueprints are basically the recipes for how you'll craft those new traits, right? So you need the blueprint to craft the trait, and to craft a trait, you'll also need the materials that come from the scavenger quests. So those are 2 types of quests: scavenge and blueprint, or research quests. And then the third type of quests are story quests, where you'll tend to get more. You'll get XP for all different quests. I think that's where we landed. It's changed a few times, but you'll for story quests you'll get more of that, and also you'll get more XP. And also, there will be specific rewards that are only associated with story quests. So there might be a specific blueprint that you can only get from a story quest. There might be a specific crafting material that you have to go to a story quest for. So we have those 3 different types of quests. They all have different inputs, meaning for some quests, you get to select the duration that you want the quest to be, and that will scale the rewards. For some quests, you get to select the difficulty of the quest, and that'll just make it so that the assets, right, the characters that you use will need to be more powerful for you to be able to complete that quest. So we've tried to, again, make it so that you get to decide, and you get to make more of those decisions. So I forgot why why I started describing all the different quest types. But yeah, there's 3 different types of quests. And again, the way I think in derp terms, the way to think about it is you will do stuff to get stuff to make new stuff so that you can do even more stuff. And breaking that out is there's different types of quests that you can go complete. And for those different types of quests, you're going to get different types of rewards. And with those rewards, you'll be able to make new traits. And by equipping your derps and your preds with those new traits, they will become more powerful. The power score for those characters will go up. And by increasing your power score, you'll be able to go back and do some of the quests that maybe you couldn't do before because your characters aren't strong enough. Balancing is definitely a challenge. Shout out to Voix, who I mentioned last time, and again he sort of gave us some additional information on the last hangout. But balancing is tricky, right? We have the derps and we have the preds. We have these different quest types, and then we're also allowing you to use your derplings and your derp apes as support characters for quests. And what those will do is it will boost basically the efficiency. It will, if you have derplings and drapes, it'll allow you to actually complete more quests than you would otherwise be able to complete. So one quick example. Let's say you're going to go do a mystical difficulty scavenger quest. Scavenger quest means you're going to get crafting materials, and mystical difficulty is tied to the rarity of attributes. Again, if you're watching this, you probably already know this, but the dirt birds they come in 7 different rarity levels: common, uncommon, scare, rare, epic, mystical, and legendary. Nailed it. And so a mystical difficulty quest is the second most difficult quest type. That mystical tag, right, corresponds to a power score requirement for the quest. So let's use arbitrary numbers for now. Let's say a mystical difficulty scavenger quest has a power score requirement of 10,000. That means the characters that you use will need to have cumulatively altogether 10,000 power score to be able to ensure 100% success on that quest. And again, so you can go to legendary, and maybe it's 15,000 or 20,000, and versus a common difficulty quest that's maybe like 250. And where we're trying to balance this is that in order to complete the average quest, you might need, let's say it's a scare quest, you might need on an average scare derp, you might need like 2 of those to be able to guarantee 100% success chance. And again, we'll balance that, but that's where the derplings and the drapes come in. If you don't have, let's say you're like just shy, maybe you're going to do a scare quest and you have like 1 scare and 1 common. And so you're just shy of hitting that 100% success chance and you don't want to take any risks. You could throw in a couple derplings or a couple drapes and sort of help boost your score up higher, so that you can ensure that you'll be able to complete that quest with a higher success chance. That's it. That's sort of how the difficulty system works, and where derplings and drapes fit into things as well. So again, the balance is the challenge. I promise you, we're not going to get it right right out of the gate, but we're going to do our best. We're going to take feedback as we always do, and we'll try to sort of adjust things as we go. And then we have one other system I can't talk about yet, but it's one more sort of lever, I guess, that we can pull, another innuendo there, for adjusting how difficulty works. Not only can we decrease the difficulty, or not only can we sort of like increase the power score from your characters to adjust the difficulty, across the board. Not only can we allow you to use derplings and drapes and adjust how much power score they give, but we have one more system that we're working on, which, again, it's too early to talk about. So some of you guys are going to be mad that I even brought it up, but it's the one that I'm probably the most excited about all of this, just because it's again something that's really new, that I think is a pretty smart way of handling this particular problem. So yeah, that's I guess I just gave you guys some random details about the game. But I think what a lot of you guys are wondering about is, when is it coming? Well, obviously it's going to come after Pred V2. Got to get the Pred artwork done. And then sort of the different dependencies that go into this, the things that we have, like all the systems that go into making up the game system. Of course, it's our existing ecosystem, right? Without that, none of this would work. And then there's like the different subparts of the system. There's the XP to derp sort of exchange system. There's the achievement system. Like, these are all systems that will be utilized for the game. But then, of course, there's the core game logic. And as you guys know, we have Queefadactyl, who from the Derpers community, who is sort of heading up that part. He's like writing the code for like the core sort of game loop, the game engine. There's the front end piece. I'm doing the design for that, and I gotta say, it's pretty sweet. I've showed it to a few people, and yeah, I mean, so far it's all been like super positive feedback. It feels so unique. That's why I'm so proud of it. It just feels so unique. So if you don't know, I'm a product designer, a UX designer, UI designer, however you want to frame it. So I'm glad that I'm able to utilize that skill set for the project in such a fun sort of creative way. But anyways, for the actual UI that you guys will be playing in, I'm doing the design, and Lua from the community, who you guys all know, will be building the front end for us. By the way, I forgot to mention, shout out to Lua, who did the front end on the profiles and the trait, well, all the profile stuff basically. Huge shout out to Lua for that. But anyways, so that's the UI part that Lua and I will be tag teaming, and Geek will sort of be involved with that to a degree as well. Then there's the artwork side of things. So we have Golden, who's of course doing the Pred V2 stuff, but then there will be new Pred traits that you guys can get. So we'll have to have new Pred. We'll have to have new traits, new artwork for new traits for that. Then there's the new Dirtbirds traits. So that's Cosmo, who will be doing the artwork for that. But then all those crafting materials we talked about, and the blueprints and everything, like we want this to be fun and to feel very polished. Like, of course, we're getting all unique artwork for all of those. And guys, there's like, I forget the exact number. I think there's 64 or 60. There will be close to like 65 unique crafting materials. Like, I'll give you an example of one, a buff energy drink, for example. We're saying like that's a crafting. Of course, all of it comes from like community jokes and sort of the lore that we've all built around Derpetonia. And then not only, and I hope this doesn't confuse things to mention this, but not only are there like 65 different unique crafting materials, that half of those will be for derp related blueprints, traits, half will be for Pred. But then each one of those traits, each one of those crafting materials, let's say the energy drink, the buff energy drink, comes in different variants. So there will be 4 different types of buff energy drinks. And so it's a lot of work, but as I said in February, like, we're not holding back on this. Like, we've decided, you know what, screw it. What else are we supposed to do in the bear market other than hang out, keep each other company, and work on building something that we're all very proud of, and that we think will make you guys proud as well. Like, we want to deliver things that, like, you're showing your friends, or you're really happy to go out and chill on Twitter about, to be like, yeah, why aren't you guys paying attention to how cool this thing is Dirtbirds is built? So we want to make you guys proud. And I think with everything that we're working towards right now, not only are you going to have a lot of fun, but I think you'll be really proud about what we're building as well. So, and then again, so that's the icon artwork, right? We just talked about all those dependencies, but then there's other things. Like you guys saw the new incubator illustration story piece we did, right? We need artwork like that for, there's no way, I don't want to set expectations that we're going to have like hundreds of illustrations that, you know, and you're going to see all these like intricate like artwork pieces for every story quest. That would cost us an insane amount of money, and it would take even longer. But we are having, I mean, we're working with a team right now that is like, that we're working on these illustrations with, and it's just one, we finish one, we move on to the next, we finish one, we move on to the next. And I will that we just had one that got finished today that, oh my, yeah, I am hoping that we will use it next week, that we'll release this illustration next week. And then the next one after that, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys, because you've watched for 35 minutes and 40 seconds. The next one that we're having start on is one that's fully focused on Pred. So if CDCC is watching this, I hope he's happy, because we're going to have this next illustration that's going to be fully sort of centered around sort of the Pred culture and you know what they're like. Anyways, I've talked for 36 minutes and I'm like, you know, I'm way behind as usual, but that's sort of the update. I hope that gives you sort of quenches your thirst a bit on what's going on with season 3, at least for those major milestones. Okay, so I'm just gonna hard transition here to the next thing I want to talk about, and that's just talking about the overall market and you know, like what are things looking like right now and where are things going. I'll try to keep the negative to a minimum, because you know it's you know, those aren't the vibes that we want to put out. But yeah, I mean, the market it's not really changed much since February. Things are, you know, really no better, but I wouldn't say that they're really any worse. There's a ton of uncertainty, right? Just in broader crypto. There has been some things that's happened in the last week with Silvergate and SVB, the bank in San Francisco, and also Signature Bank. And all of those things do have an impact on crypto one way or the other. So, and eventually those types of big macro things will have some impact on Derpbirds. It sounds insane, but like, you know, fewer people, you know, maybe people are sort of wanting to sit on the sidelines more. They're not wanting to get into crypto. And of course, they're not getting into crypto, then they're never going to find their way down to Derpbirds. And that's something I want to talk about here in a minute as well, is what issue that creates, what problem that creates if we're fully dependent upon the NFT space to grow Derpbirds, and sort of how we're viewing that. But we'll come back to that. So yeah, there are things like specifically in the Cardano NFT space, you know, there's I guess a request I have to you guys, and I mentioned this in February, is just be chill, like on Twitter. Like there's so much drama. There's all these opinions flying around, and some of us, right, in the community have, you know, sort of we've lost our calm in the, you know, over the last month, and put things out on Twitter that like we don't want people to view the Derpbirds community that way, right? So let's try to stay chill and just, you know, hang out, like show people like what a fun community that I know that we are, and we are. Like I don't think anyone doubts that. But it's just sort of a reminder for us to just yeah, just be kind to each other. And I really think that's the Derpbirds way, right? Is just, I remember back like last year at this time, and I don't want to talk about floor price, but when our floor price was like 30 or 40, and we didn't care at all. Like we hung out and we had a good time. And that's where the community really formed, was we just enjoyed each other's company for the sake of it. So yeah, and I've been in Discord quite a bit less lately, between day job and all of these things that we're balancing with Derpbirds, like all of those dependencies I talked about, right? The front end, the design, the artwork, the tech, like all of those things are all things that have to be managed, documented, planned out. There's issues that we run into that have to be resolved and worked through. And so it's increasingly difficult for me to be able to come and be in general chats. What I'm trying to do is to get back to the weekly the announcements, the now that we're rolling out new updates. And then after those announcements, jump into general chat for a bit. And I do read a lot more than what you guys may think in general chat. I just, if I start chatting, I get pulled into it, and then I lose hours. Anyways, I just wanted to say that in terms of market and community, let's remember to sort of you know, be on our best behaviors when we're sort of interacting with other communities and other projects. It doesn't do us any good to flood other projects or anything. So that's really it. You know, on the market, like, it's going to do what it's going to do. And just as a reminder, like, we're here for the long haul. Like, we just don't really care. Like, honestly, the NFT space can be really off-putting sometimes. I think it's frustrating for a lot of us. And all the time, I have friends who are like, "Oh, you're still doing the NFT thing?" I'm like, "No, I'm not doing the NFT thing. I'm doing the Dirtbirds thing." Like, I don't care about the NFT space. I shouldn't say that, because I do want the industry to succeed and to do really well, and that will have a positive impact on Dirtbirds. But I'm not here for NFTs. I'm here for you guys, and I'm here for Dirtbirds. And if all of crypto went to zero tomorrow, I would still be hiring artists to like do new story illustrations to continue building, this world of Derpetonia that we've all sort of left our mark on, right? Like, so many of the community jokes and the ideas that you guys have had, they've all had an impact and sort of helped shape the project and this idea of Derpetonia. And so, yeah, I care way more about Dirtbirds than I do about the NFT space in general. So, and that brings me to, I guess, the last topic here. And we talked about it again at the beginning of the month in the Dirtbirds Hangout. I specifically talked about how there were really two different personas in the space. There's the founder, right, the project founder, and then there's the collector. And you can argue the numbers. It's like 95% of the space is basically made up by those two personas. There are other people who, I mean, I guess everyone's a collector, basically, like if you're buying NFTs. But whatever the exact breakdown is, like, those are the two major personas. Those are the major two types of people that you find in the space. And I have been having conversations with people recently and sort of speculating on the problem with the space and what's the future for the space. And, when you look back over the last couple of years before Dirtbirds, but if you just use the period since Dirtbirds has launched, there's a lot of cliches that get thrown around, like, we're early, and if we build it, if you build it, they'll come, like all of those things, like, and you start to question, and it's normal to question these things in a bear market, like, man, are we right? Like, are we early? Are NFTs going to explode again? Like, but I think there's been a big missed opportunity. And again, we talked about this at the beginning of the month, like, where some of the missed opportunities that NFTs sort of could have, some of the needs that they could have addressed, right? And some of the opportunities that existed. And I guess specifically, right now, if everyone in the space is a founder or a collector, and by collector, we really mean investor. And it's not a fun term to use. And I certainly don't view people who are holding Dirtbirds NFTs as investors. But you think about what draws people into the space, and that's typically why people get into NFTs is they're trying to make money. And so they're looking to buy an NFT and then sell it later at a profit, right? They look at it as an investment. And the problem this creates is you have a situation where if you all you have is founders and investors, what is the space going to become, right? Like, everyone's chasing dollars, and understandably so, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But you just have a space where everyone is viewing, all collectors, all investors are viewing every project as an opportunity to make money and nothing more. What you're left with, and again, I said this at the beginning of the month, is you're left with a situation where we have, a space, an industry that is a mile wide and an inch deep, right? You have all of these projects that are effectively doing the same things, right? Staking and a token and raffles and things like that. Everyone's doing the exact same thing. And so you can find thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of projects, and then when you sort of peel back the layer and look at what's going on under the hood with those products, they're all the same. They're all doing the same thing. They might have their own branding. They might have their own sort of spin on the community, their own vibe that they're trying to create. And all that's great. And by the way, I'm also not trying to take away from staking and we have that. We've done that with Dirtbirds as well. But all I mean is, like, all of these projects are effectively the same. And so not only does it create that situation where again, the industry is a mile wide and an inch deep, but you just have a situation where, like, investors aren't users. They're not fans. And that's not, it's not 100% true, right? Again, I think that a lot of you guys watching this video right now, just like I said, last year at this time, no one was trying to make money on Dirtbirds last year at this time. We were all just like dicking around and having a good time in Discord. That's literally what the project was about, just like hanging out with each other. Um, but it creates this situation where, or the situation that we have created is where there are no users, there are no fans of the things that are being built, right? And I'm reluctant to say, like, if some people holding Dirtbird NFTs are fans, because it's a weird thing for me to say. I think, like, I feel like I know all of you guys so well, and so but I guess, I mean, I'm a fan of Dirtbirds. I'm a fan of what we've created, and so I think that is fine to say. And I'm really struggling to get this out, but really what I'm getting at is we've not done a good job in the space of creating something that would be attractive to someone who isn't trying to make money, someone who's not an investor, right? And again, what's happened is everyone who buys the NFT says, "Oh, this thing that Dirtbirds is building, that's really cool. That's going to be attractive to a lot of people, and those people are going to try to buy those NFTs, and I'm going to have a lot, and I'm going to sell them for a profit." By the way, there's nothing wrong with thinking that way, but the problem that creates is no one's using the things that get built. And there's examples of this in the space. I won't name projects, but there's examples of projects who have shipped like pretty impressive things. No one's using them. No one's playing the games. No one's interacting with the platforms or the ecosystems, because it's not interesting to them. They're just there to try to make money. And they buy the things thinking, okay, this thing has a good chance of going up because the team is building something that's going to attract people. It just doesn't attract me. And a good parallel is years ago, things like 2018, 2019, I read that like less than 2% of people holding Tesla stock reported having any interest in ever wanting to have an electric vehicle. So they're like, yeah, I believe in the vision of Tesla. I want to buy the stock. I just don't like electric vehicles myself. I want the stock because I think a lot of other people are going to go buy those vehicles, which is going to improve the value. It's going to make it a successful business. The value of the stock is going to go up, and I'm going to sell it for a profit. And on the flip side of that, people who were driving Teslas, like the people who drive Teslas, most of them, like the vast majority of them, have no Tesla stock. Like, there's no correlation. So what is the NFT space doing? Like, what are we doing? Right now we have all the investors, people who understand NFTs and the value and the benefit of NFTs and like the potential, I guess is the best word to use. But we don't have people driving the Teslas, right? We don't have people utilizing what gets built. And to be fair, and by the way, Dirtbirds is as responsible for this as any other project. But to be fair, we haven't built the things that would attract the non-NFT collector. And even if we had, we haven't marketed to those people. We haven't shown them this thing exists. So where we're starting to think a lot more about Dirtbirds specifically, I don't care what the rest of the industry does, that's on them. But I can tell you what we're starting to think more about for Dirtbirds specifically is, how do we do that? Right? Someone recently told me this, but this is an obvious way of thinking about it, is the NFT world, right? All of the collectors across all the chains, we are hyper niche. We make up a very small percentage of the human species, and a tiny percentage of all humans that may have an interest in like digital collectibles, right? But we're not talking to the rest of those people. We're just like literally in this little tiny echo chamber where we're talking to other NFT collectors / investors, and we're trying to convince them why the investments that you hold, your bags, your NFTs, are valuable, and what the future of them, what the future of that project is, and you're trying to convince other investors why they should come and sell their investments to buy your investments. Like, so it just creates a picture where like the space feels like it's not progressing, and again, mile wide, inch deep. Like we're just in this trap. And so what we're starting to think about with Dirtbirds is, where are those people who would become fans of Dirtbirds that have zero interest in NFTs, and because they've heard PewDiePie say that they're all scams, or because they've seen Logan Paul or Jake Paul, whatever one it was, totally scam their massive audience, like run a literal scam. And so they're not interested in NFTs and blockchain. And in the same way, we've all been saying this for over a year, that like if you're building a blockchain-based game, don't tell people. It doesn't matter if it uses NFTs and blockchain. You can't lead with that. And so what Dirtbirds needs to do is to think, what are we creating that would be appealing and attractive to the non-NFT collector? And I'm not going to go into ideas because this video is 49 minutes long already. I'm not going to talk about specifics. We're not ready to sort of really get into that yet. But I want to put this out there for all of you guys to think about, and not just about Dirtbirds specifically, but about NFTs in general, and really evaluate, look at this space and ask yourself, what is it doing? And I'm not anti NFTs. Obviously, I love NFTs. I love new projects launching, right? Alley Cats, Goombles recently, like minted loads of them. But I'm challenging you to think about what is the future of the space if we don't start thinking about how to build things that will attract non-NFT collectors, and not even I don't even want to say attract NFT non-NFT collectors. I want Dirtbirds to be something that people fall in love with the same way that we're all in love with it, and they don't even know that we have our roots, basically stemming from Cardano as an NFT project. We want to create something that that people can participate in, can associate with, can be a fan of, can consume, can use, and they don't even know about the NFT project. And for you who a holder of Dirtbird NFTs, I think a logical question is, well, what does it mean that I have these NFTs? Well, two things. One, nothing. This isn't a pivot away from the NFT space. All of these things that I just, Pred V2 and Adventures in Derpetonia, and the idea for season 4 that, oh my God, is going to blow people away. Like, this isn't pivoting away from the NFT side of things. This is saying that there has to be another side to the project that isn't just catering to this super tiny, hyper niche world of NFTs. Even when we talk about cross-chain and other blockchains, that's tiny. That's so tiny compared to the rest of the human population, as a potential sort of fan or user of the things that we would build. And the other thing that it means for you is, think about a world where there are 100,000 people, fans of Dirtbirds. If only 2%, God forbid 5% of those people do become big fans, and they're like, oh yeah, they do have this digital collectible, so like, yeah, I want to go buy a Dirtbird and like participate in some of the digital collectible side of the project, the NFT side of the project. Even 5%, imagine 5,000 new people coming into the Cardano space, let alone like 5, and they're not coming to collect NFTs. They're not coming to invest in NFTs. They're coming to buy a piece of this thing that they've fallen in love with, right? An NFT for them isn't an investment vehicle. It's something that represents this brand, this thing that they want to be related to, they want to be associated with, they want to participate in. And those are the types of people that the space needs. But none of us, including Dirtbirds, are building things or putting efforts into showing those people that we exist. And I guess of everything I just said, that's probably the takeaway. That's probably the takeaway. And what we're trying to do as Dirtbird is starting to think about what that means. So again, I want to put any worries you have to bed. Like, we're not pivoting away from any of the things that we're building. If anything, like we are working with more individuals right now to drive the project forward. I think this is about 10 people, 9 people, I guess, or so, that I talk to daily who are doing something that's helping us progress the project, even Kubies. Just kidding. I love Kubies. So yeah, I guess that's really where I wanted to leave this. I know this is going to dominate the video, right? This whole market / founder investor paradigm thing, but yeah, I wanted to talk about that and just sort of like, I think it's important for you guys to know the way we view the project, and I hope it gives you assurance that like we do pay attention to the space, and we don't think that the space is perfect, and we don't think Dirtbirds is perfect, and honestly, we're not striving for perfection, but we are striving to be better and to be different, and to not just follow the pack. There are going to be tens of thousands of NFT projects that disappear this year. Existing projects across different chains, right? OpenSea NFT is tracking like 90,000 projects. I think I'm remembering that number. That's 90,000 NFT policy IDs that exist on Cardano, right? And so you think of Solana and Polygon and Ethereum and so on, all those different projects, tens of thousands of those projects are going to disappear. And those of us who remain are going to be, it will be up to us, you guys, collectors, holders, fans, whatever, however you want to think about yourselves, and founders, as well, to think about how we do create the future for the space that we want. And it can't just be this endless cycle of here's the thing, and oh, I bought the thing, what's the utility that I get that's gonna, we have to sort of break this cycle. And that's what Dirtbirds has always tried to do from the start. Is we've done things differently. We've done things similar to other projects as well. I'm not going to pretend like everything we've done is completely revolutionary and groundbreaking, but we've always tried to do things different, and that's what we're going to keep doing in the NFT space and beyond Web3 and blockchain. Okay, I think that's the update. I think that's everything that we wanted to cover this week, or this month rather. Again, quick, I guess, sort of plug. Come hang out in Discord beginning of April. We'll have the event scheduled soon. We'll be tweeting about it probably maybe tomorrow, if not early next week, so you can get it on your calendar. But come hang out. It's a great time. We talk about NFTs. We talk a lot about Derpers, obviously. We're really just there to have fun. But come hang out at the beginning of April. Keep an eye on Twitter. We do have a lot of fun new stuff that we are dropping and that we are releasing. Keep an eye on Discord announcements. I know they've been a little slow lately, but that's just because we've been in a bit of a lull as we've worked on. We've had lots of different things sort of demanding our time, and then also we're working on really big deliverables. So there's not a lot to say every week other than, hey, we're here and we're building and we love you guys. Yeah, that's the update. Make sure you keep an eye on Discord announcements. Make sure you're following us on Twitter and keeping an eye on those updates as well. Come hang out at the beginning of the month in April, and I'll see you back here. I can't believe it's already going to be April, a month from now, but I'll see you back here next month for another update. Love you guys. Stay safe. And yeah, we'll see you soon. Bye.